Good morning, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy. Today we're playing something that I wanted to play rather than a donation deck. And let me start off by saying huge shout out to Joe Fisher for lending me a set of Hullbreachers as well as a set of opposition agents for this weekend. I cannot overstate how important that is for me uh, in order to make the content that I wanted to make. So today we're going to play with a Hullbreacher combo deck, and tomorrow night I'm going to put together a really spicy vintage hate bears list, giving a quick preview of what that's going to look like. I'm not done thinking about the sideboard yet or the mana base yet, but it's going to look something like this, and the goal is just going to be play a bunch of the most degenerate hate bears ever printed and really hate on the blue decks in game one scenarios. That should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to try that out. Moving on to today's actual deck, we are going to be playing with Whitefaces, Callum Smith's recent top 8 challenge deck list. And if you haven't seen this before, this is the Urza Stompy deck, but it's really gotten a shot in the arm with the printing of Hullbreacher, which is very similar to things like Notion, Thief, and Spirit of the Labyrinth that have been printed in the past. Except, this one has Flash, and it's blue, and it costs 3, and is real good with Ancient Tomb. Alright, the exact text is, if an opponent would draw a card except the first one they draw in each one of their draw steps, instead you create a treasure token. So if you were to cast a draw 7, you get 7 mana out of the deal, and your opponent gets no cards, and you get 7 cards. That's like everything I wanted out of a card. Nathan, thank you very much for the continued support. Oh, you're muted. We'll throw a heart in the chat for you then. Okay, so essentially we have a different sort of combo enabler. A lot of the previous versions maxed out on Narset Parter of the Veils. And now when you're doing deck building, you have to decide how many Narsets do I want versus how many Hullbreachers do I want versus how many alternate win conditions, like, say, Psy, do I want. So there's some things to be thinking about there. So Narset, for example, is worse with the soul lands, but can dig you immediately towards another card and doesn't really require Echo to be good. But Hullbreacher has Flash, and when you flash that in response to a Brainstorm, it's pretty disgusting. I don't think I need to do an extended deck tech today. A lot of people have seen decks like this in the past, so let's go ahead and hop right into a Legacy League and see how we do with it. Yeah, DinoCat in chat makes a great point here. If you are more reliant on your graveyard than the usual versions of this deck, it can be a little bit brutal. So normally the graveyard hate is only okay against you because you have a whole bunch of alternate win conditions, and if your graveyard gets shut off, like, it's whatever. But every time you cut a copy of, like, something like Psy or Narset for something that's more related to the combo, the hate pieces sting a little bit harder. I don't know that I'm overly worried about it or anything, but that's something to be concerned with. Not even that, but it can catch you off guard. Other versions bring echoing truth. Oh, I see. So you mean it's more brutal in that, like, you can't answer the piece of graveyard hate once it's put in play. I see. Yeah, so as far as interaction goes, in game one, we're kind of hoping to be the combo deck, and then in the post sideboard game, we board in Force of Wills. But yeah, as far as interaction with opposing permanents, it's rough for something like a Leyline in particular, because, we're not going to get an EE to 4. in order to take that out or anything. Oh, I also think I need to adjust some settings real quick. Try that. Yeah, this will be fine. Streamer backend thing. A lot of times when you do guest content, you have to muck with a lot of backend settings in order to make things work. Let's see. Do I get turn 1 Urza and Chalice? I think I do. JK. My hand got a lot worse. It's probably fine. Let's play the seat and not let them know that the Ancient Tomb is coming. I think. Yeah, let's do this. I think this is probably going to be like an embarrassing, like, pay 3 mana to get a Lotus Petal so I can put an Urza into play sort of situation. Ooh, actually, it could just be the Mox Opal now that I drew a Seat of the Synod this turn. Then I can Urza next turn and hopefully use Urza to power through this Trinisphere. Alright. Get in there, Mox Opal. So this is the turn where we're going to figure out how bad our situation is. Like, are we going to face down a Blood Moon? Are we going... Alright. That's them missing their land drop and just saying, I'm going to concede rather than play this out. I would have waited at least until I stuck a threat, but okay. So we do not want Chalice of the Void. That is going to basically be a dead card here. So one of the first things I'm going to do is probably pull those out and put Force of Wills in so I can easier snipe a Chalice on 0, which is probably going to be big game. Things I can be thinking about. I can be thinking about playing Sorcerous Spyglass, Walking Ballistas, even Bridge, I guess, or the LED. But I'm not really sure that very many of our other cards are bad. Narset is a little more suspect than normal because it requires blue-blue, and our opponent will likely still be playing at least some Blood Moon effects. Maybe not all of them anymore, but like it still turns our Ancient Tombs and City of Traders into things that produce less mana, and it shuts off our Seat of the Synods from producing blue. Without matchup experience, I think I'm just going to go ahead and click Submit. But it's possible some small changes here are still good. Um, this is an okay hand. I might mulligan this against another fair deck, but specifically this has 2 basic lands, meaning that I don't have to force a Blood Moon effect on turn 1. Blocky, thank you very much for your continued support. I really do appreciate it. And for those of you who have been watching on the YouTube end, thank you very much for the liking and commenting and stuff on recent posts. It has really helped the engagement side of the equation on YouTube. So that was very much appreciated. Thank you for that. I guess. I'm not thrilled about it, but I guess we're making the first move. We're probably playing directly into Stomp. Oh yeah, I could have just played Seed. It reduces the cost of Emry by 1. That was dumb. Yeah, sorry. It's early in the morning for me here. That was just a bad line. Yeah, so now I could have had a persistent City of Traders. So now I would protect an Urza from a removal spell. I don't know what exactly my opponent is sitting on. Their hand's kind of weird. Like, they have 6 for Big Chandra. Five to activate. Alright, let's just get in there. And are they just like super flooded over there? The answer is yes. That's rough. They kept their hand on the strength of a Pyroblast, hoping to draw into a payoff card, and then just missed payoff cards. Okay, there's an LED in the graveyard, which means my Echo could be live, but I would probably want to wait for a Hullbreacher. Don't really have great attacks this turn, so we'll just hold down the fort. Fiery Confluence would be pretty good against us, but it would be a 3 for 2 trade, really. Oh. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would be okay with forcing a stomp in this situation, though. Like, I'm willing to not take the extra damage. Yeah, Dino Cat. The thing is, though, we would also be taking a card out, right? And then that's a 4/3 creature that's not hitting the board. That's like the secret side of countering Stomp, is that it's not truly a 2-for-1 or anything, but it starts to feel like it. Yes. I want to pay life to, like, do this main phase. I guess I can just tap the LED and do it main phase. We're just uh we're just playing this one super patiently. This current situation favors us by quite a bit. I have to no sir that Trinosphere. And we're going? It sure seems like we're going. If opponent has Stomp right now, it's like really bad to do this because I pitched two forces. I'm gonna think about this for a second and then probably just do it anyway. Yeah, man, that's what I'm thinking about. Gives them one more draw to find the answer, but is probably just way better. I've gotten called out by the creator of this exact 75. Go on. One, two, three, four, five. I can just hardcast this. The last card, a Pyroblast. It's probably a creature, so I feel good. Okay, so part of the reason why our opponent's hand seemed so bad that match from our side of the table is because they weren't actually like a red prison deck, they were a red combo deck. And there's so much overlap between the cards, we couldn't tell that earlier in the game. So they probably kept a hand that was just one card away from going off, in addition to like their other starting resources. Yeah, I mean, start of the stream is going very well for me. Oh, I see. You were talking to Whitefaces. I just assume Whitefaces is doing well in challenges. Okay. Turn 1 Chalice with turn 2 Urza follow-up is pretty good. There's a world where I play around a daze here, but no. I have my backup plan for if things go wrong, so I'd rather just, like, force my opponent to have answers. Oh, they didn't have another land. It's gonna be weird whether or not I actually want to just, like, immediately jam this Echo to try to refuel me, because it'll put them into more lands. I have 5 things to draw towards that let this Echo be considerably better. But I have, like, nothing to do. The thing is, I have this Chalice resolved, and a good portion of their deck is probably shut off anyway. Go ahead and do this. Yep, 100% accept that. I wonder if our opponent should have let it resolve. Like, that's a tricky one. So because Hullbreacher is in my deck, I probably want to activate this immediately. That way I can draw the Hullbreacher on their turn and potentially play it. Okay, now we have a win condition in play. Unfortunately, we got Force of Negationed, not Force of Willed. So we can't just, like, immediately get our 7 treasures. Well, that's good. Two or three? I guess 3 shuts off a whole bunch of cards that I care about. Let's go with 2. Two means that I don't have to worry about, like, an Ice Fang Coatl's Death Touch eventually dealing with this thing. Okay, there's a big payoff card. Let's go. All right. We'll do it the hard way. And opponent just not hitting the land drops here. They stuck that one out for much longer than I would have. Okay, so we're playing against some sort of snow control deck. So how do I board? My opponent is going to want to be countering my haymakers and trying to ignore as much of this sort of stuff as possible. How do I leverage that best? Do I force of will to make it more likely that a critical spell resolves, or do I not force of will to make it so that I 2-for-1 myself a lower proportion of the time? I don't actually know. This might just be a time where the main deck is good enough that I just whack submit again. Just think about it for a second. I think the issue with force of will here is that unless I have multiple threats in hand or multiple force of wills, pitching cards to force of will is actually kind of awkward. Because I'm pitching the cards that I most want to resolve in this matchup, maybe with the exception of Echo of Eons. So I think I'm just going to whack submit. It's possible I could shave a couple of mana sources to bring in something like a Walking Ballista, just as like something that can pick off their Death Touch creatures. Turn 1 Hullbreacher after my opponent has mulliganed. Probably questionable, but not 100% questionable. B4, I don't know that we actually want to cut the Narset. I think the Narset is good. I would be closer to wanting to play more Narsets than 0. I think I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this one and try to keep something that's a little more threat dense. Yeah, this hand's way better. Way better. Go ahead and throw back the bell. Maybe it's the LED. Throw back the LED. Seat, Bobble, Emry. Have something to recur with Emry. Yeah, it's the LED. Morning Expedition Map, and thank you very much for throwing your Twitch Prime this way this month. I really do appreciate it. Stream support has gone up a lot in the last week or two. I'm glad people are enjoying what I've been doing. The Curses video is doing really well. I think that's over like 12 or 1300 views right now. I forget exactly where it's at, but it was doing really well. That game against Doomsday was insane. That was like maybe top moment of the month. I'd have to think about it because that game with humans was pretty silly. When we were playing the red-green stacks deck, like grinding that out was pretty insane. And I think for Force of Will based reasons, I go ahead and take a peek now. The downside of doing this is if I draw exactly Ox Opal. No, because I can like Emry, get a Petal back or a Bobble back, and turn on Metalcraft. Alright, my opponent has a Source of Plowshares that may or may not be castable right now. Totally good with picking this up. Okay, that Swords to Plowshares is castable. Goodbye, Emry. Thank you for your service. There's a temptation to slam the Hullbreacher as quickly as possible, but I think I like getting Psy down and getting value out of it immediately. Alright. There is a Jace coming. This one is the top card of their library. The Delta. And this one is actually in their hand, the Swords to Plowshares. So if I put this in, they just fetch and Swords to Plowshares. I think I'd rather, like, represent the Hullbreacher on their turn. Oh, they don't have a fetchable land. Oh man, that's smart. Yeah, they probably only have one fetchable white source. Min's smart, be like Min. Yeah, just wilting and blowing up the seat of the Synod potentially would have been a very strong line on their end. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, potentially 7 this turn. I can Karn and just get the Spyglass and shut off Jace immediately. Which might be fine since I know they have Swords to Plowshares. Yeah, I think I just like I find it interesting how none of you are valuing taking them off a Brainstorm. Like my opponent has one card that's not super relevant on this board, and I can just lattice kill them next turn, so I give them exactly one draw to draw like Force of Negation or a creature. I don't know that Urza plus Breacher is the better line. I guess I can do the coding play on Jace. Since I theoretically have a win locked up next turn, taking this as a weird tempo play is probably okay. Whereas I wouldn't do this earlier in a game, I would just be getting the Spyglass. Because, like, there's weird timing things that can happen and such. Yeah, so I think the issue with the Urza based line that turn, so if I go Urza plus Hullbreacher in like say my main phase, and then my opponent draws something like a Dead of Winter, I lose my creatures and my opponent gets to Jace Brainstorm. And those are the sorts of scenarios where like I probably open myself up to the biggest blowouts on my end. I think the Karn just has to come down that turn. Okay, so something like a Supreme Verdict then. Yeah, the general idea there was a sweeper. Yeah, Dead of Winter might have been a bad example to use because I don't remember how big the construct would have been, but probably like a 5/5 or something. Ram 2046, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. Ah. I am aware my mic is on my desk. My computer monitors are so thin that I can't put them up. I can't put it above. The first world problem. Better? I do have a noise suppression filter on, oddly enough. Yeah, it's a webcam mic. Yeah, I kept a hand that can turn one Emry and then get the Lotus Petal back and be one blue source away from like casting an Urza. I think that's fine. Like, Emry might not be the sexiest thing that's going on in this deck right now, but it's important to remember that this was one of the primary win conditions in the deck for a very long time. Urza versus Narset. Urza will dodge Spell Pierce, Narset will dodge Daze. If my opponent is a combo deck, playing the Narset is considerably better. If my opponent is a control deck, playing the Urza is considerably better. I'm going to go with Urza. At the end of the day, I do still need to kill my opponent. And Urza is the way that I am probably killing this game. Alright. Let's play a bauble. Activate this, grab the pedal again. Cast this. Now I will take the 1 damage here. Trying to make any moves that we're going to make now prior to combat, so it decreases the chance of something going wrong in combat. Ooh, a chalice. That's a sweet pickup. Now, tap this for mana and play out the chalice on 1. Everything resolves? Be playing against, like, Show and Tell over there? Well, Ice Fang doesn't matter too much because our opponent can't have enough snow lands to death touch us currently. Our board position is really good. Opponent needed multiple colors of mana, so they couldn't fetch double snow lands, so that means Ice Fang Coatl's Death Touch is not on in the immediate future, and the Ice Fang really probably has to attack Narset anyway. I probably want to either just play an Emry and look for Echo or activate Urza this turn. I can just save these to have something for like a post-sweeper world. I think I like the idea of just spinning Urza this turn. and taking a few draws off of Bobble and trying to go for an Echo next turn. Alright. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess there's a world where I play the land first. Uh, 2 more life? 2 more, taking 2 more damage acceptable? Gives me 1 more damage this turn. Yeah, I guess it's better against Abrupt Decay, which is something that our opponent can be representing. I'm in for it. Oh, that's not how that works, huh? Alright, that's fine. That's fine. No, 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 no. I don't want to concede the game. Yeah, I can Karn and blow up a Chalice. Like, that's not the end of the world. It's obviously dumb and bad, but it's not the end of the world. Like, these Icefang Coatls don't have Death Touch yet, and if our opponent attacks in to kill the Narset, they're theoretically dead on board. The opponent's having to think, so their spot isn't easy. Oh, Assassin's Trophy. Do I take 2 life to spin the wheel? I don't know that I do. My life total's pretty valuable. And I don't have Game of 1 Force of Will. Yeah, I think that just happens. So my opponent, like, has to have another removal spell. I think I need to keep my artifacts because this exact artifact count represents lethal. I have another Ice Fang, it's pretty bad for me. I forgot the text of Urza. Like, if I could be cracking these baubles, I would still be like so far ahead. Uh, yeah, I think this game now gets like super slow rolled. Oh wow, they have Green Sun? No, I'm not gonna look for an echo. Like I fucked up this game. I turned a win into a likely loss. Yeah, this is one of the things I wanted to bail me out. Yeah, Collector Oof would be very good. Dr. Henk and Nosman, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. Alright, I can have 4 mana available. If I'm willing to go to 6, get a Walking Ballista. I can just get Ensnaring Bridge and then hemorrhage a few of my cards. That doesn't seem great. Can get Ballista, play for 2, jump block with Emry. My opponent can gain a total of 3 life, putting them at 7. Bridge can prevent the ooze from attacking, but the Ice Fangs still get in there, so that's not the best. I can also just like Karn plus on my own Chalice and then try to play a reasonable game of Magic. Karn, cast EE. Oh, that's actually really good. Karn with double ancient, or Karn with Ancient Tomb, 2 islands, minus, get EE. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the line. Yeah, if they just have a counterspell for whatever I get with Karn, I probably lose all the same. Yep. You have the Force, though. I think you're supposed to fire it on Karn and not have to have another thing to worry about later. Again, and if I didn't do the whole Chalice on Zero thing, I could be considering recurring any number of things from my graveyard. Okay, that's why their line makes sense. See. Yeah, Dr. Henrik, I just messed up. I mixed up which sort of effect Urza was. I thought Urza was one of the ones where you could adjust cost after clicking on it, and that is not true. Yeah, I win this game in worlds where I know where my cards work, but I was an idiot. Well, now, man, there's also a world where like what I get with Karn also might cost me 2 life for ensnaring bridge-based reasons. Yeah, I haven't played with an Urza in a year, so that was just on me. W Tan, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. No, W Tan, I don't. Like, things that we could cast on instant speed on their turn in that situation that are relevant are basically just like Hullbreacher. So the 2 life is probably more valuable than the chance of hitting the Hullbreacher. So Urza lets you play the card without paying the mana cost, but it doesn't let you ignore timing restrictions. This is basically the same hand we kept last game, except now we know what matchup we're doing. Opponent can have turn 1 Swords to Plowshares. In which case, this hand is real sketch. Well, if they don't have turn 1 Swords to Plowshares, and I at least get to put this Urza into play turn 2, that's wrong-ish. But I don't really want a triple Ancient Opener. Like, that's not where I want to be. I think I'm gonna mulligan this one. Yeah. I will keep this. So it looks like I'm throwing back City of Traders here. I'll keep the Urza in case something goes wrong. I think it is correct to play this game patiently. However, I'm not here to make correct plays. We gave up on correct plays last game. So let's do one for chat. Again, I 100% think this is the wrong line. But the people want entertainment. Let's give them entertainment. Force of Will, Force of Negation, Fatal Push, a Spell Pierce or something all get me here. Like, I should not take this line, but let's give it to the people. Womp, womp, womp. Play for entertainment has failed. I think we're supposed to play that one patiently and just go like Urza next turn, and then the turn beyond that go for some sort of echo based line after we've maybe made them use more resources. But we already knew that. Yeah, I mean, LED's cool, and Emry is cool. Karner and Urza is a great draw, even if I can't cast them immediately. Bleh. Very good. All right, I think I'm gonna probably take another draw here and then pack this one in. I went for the meme play and was punished accordingly, as I should have been. But now my opponent gets to shut off like my value creatures or artifacts, plus they have a clock in play, plus they took my like pedal, and now I can't just play a top decked Urza and have two creatures in play. Yeah, that's probably good enough. I'll take a draw and then pack it in. Now the echo out is off. Bleh. I accept that. I threw away game one though. But now I won't make that mistake again, so it's okay. Plus, I believe that I'm obligated under federal law, maybe international law, to try to go for like the Hullbreacher nuts at least a few times on stream. I'm pretty sure when Brian streamed it, or not streamed it, when he recorded with it for YouTube, he just like did the thing turn one of his first game. I want to do the thing. Okay. So do the old bobble thing. Going to sack said bobble immediately and try to get a feel for what deck my opponent is on. The lightning bolt, which might mean Delver or burn. So let's go Ancient Tomb, Chalice of the Void on one. Which is probably what we would have done in the dark anyway. But now we do it knowing that it's good. And say we saw Blood Moon there, we would know that we wouldn't want a Chalice on one. Alright, so we are probably playing against a blue-red Delver deck. And if we get wastelanded here, I am in a world of hurt. Yeah, you can just call it Karn Echo. That's totally fine. Oh, Bobbles. So they're going to be much heavier on the prowess side than the normal version of this deck. Ancient Tombs all of a sudden looking very scary. My construct tokens are also like not really big enough to block yet. If I play it next turn, I'll have it 2. Do. Ow. Now I get bolted too. Yikes. Uh-oh. I should just be dead now. My opponent will play some follow-up threat, like a Delver, a Sprite Dragon, another Swift Spear, and I'm going to take a lot of damage. And even if I draw like an optimal draw, which might be something like a City of Traders, I still don't know that I can secure this game fast enough. Karn into Ensnaring Bridge is a lot harder to lock someone out when they have 1 power creatures versus, like, say, 3 power creatures. This Chalice isn't even that good here because our opponent can still cast whatever spell it is as shock. Yep. Am I deterministically dead? So I draw land, I go Urza, I have 2 blockers. I guess I'm not deterministically dead. It probably requires a chump with the construct token. Oh, nice play. Yeah, that's gonna get me dead. Good play from the opponent, recognizing that. So this prowess version of the deck in particular is going to be awkward for me because normally in these sorts of matchups I'd probably be thinking about boarding in Walking Ballista, but trying to use a Walking Ballista to answer a 2 power creature is a lot a 2 toughness creature is a lot different from a 1 toughness creature. It's double the resources. It's not just like 1 more mana or anything. So it becomes no longer like a turn 1, sometimes not even a turn 2 play that can actually answer their creature. So, eh. Normally in these sorts of matchups, a lot of times I try to board out Karns because they don't immediately impact the board. But I probably need to keep them here just because like the things that I would be bringing in over Karn are all medium. I can be boarding in another LED, but refueling my opponent's prowess-based deck is a little sketchy. No sideboard. No sideboard. Yeah, I don't expect Karn to stick around most of the time though. Avaros. Like Karn is going to minus get me a card and then die to onboard creatures or a lightning bolt effect a huge portion of the time. Yeah. This is a turn one chalice. I don't think I get to throw back a turn one chalice hand. I'm going to need mana to cast these Urzas, but the Urzas are going to be one of my preferred win conditions, so I think that's fine. And I guess I should crack the bauble now. It gives me a shot at Force of Will. No, there's nothing I need to Force of Will on their turn, but let's wait. Because then they can like play out a land and I'll have a better shot at looking at a relevant card from their hand. Alright, well, we still saw a land. A land? That's not quite what I want, but I'm not upset about it by any means. Now, this time, I should probably crack this immediately. I still like our position, but it's at least somewhat likely that our opponent is just going to have an Abrade or something like that for this turn cycle. And then that also shuts off Mox Opal, which is kind of a beating. Holy shit, are you not going to crack that now? Man, I don't even get to punish here. Oh, that's so sad. Can't YOLO Urza into play? The LED requires you to discard your hand. Yeah, LED is fixed Black Lotus, so it's a little harder to use. Yeah, if I ignore the rules of Magic, it becomes way easier to win this game. So, I kind of think my opponent has a Daze. Their play pattern with the EE was really weird, so maybe they were thinking about holding up mana to hardcast a Daze rather than return a land or something. I don't know. Like, this Sprite Dragon is going to be huge and it's going to fly over and help clock, even if I stabilize with Urza, so I have to play the thing that impacts the board and combat positively, but I think I'm just going to get dazed. Also, a little weird that my opponent didn't crack the other bobble on their turn. I guess maybe they're trying to spread them out for Hullbreacher reasons. And 853, you might be right. From my side of the battlefield, like being in the Urza pilot seat, my mana, like that one mana is so valuable to me. But I guess from their perspective, if they're much more scared of another chalice, that's reasonable. All right, bluff attack or real attack? Slash, do I have the luxury of playing around them having anything anyway? They have anything anyway. They probably cast it this turn. I get hit for 5, which puts me to 7, and then 2 spells kills me next turn anyway. Yeah, I might not have the luxury of playing around anything here. Except that yeah, I don't think I can win in one turn under any circumstances. And the ensnaring bridge Karn based lines aren't really live currently. If I do this, Karn, I can't get Karn and ensnaring bridge next turn even for Urza mana. Alright, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and pack that in. That was brutal. The 3-for-1 off the engineered explosives was like choice. I would have been greedily rubbing my hands if I were them. Is this hand actually good? Doesn't exactly do things. but it's real close to doing a lot of things. This hand is like strategically just away from doing everything. Like I need another artifact to play Emry on turn one. I don't have LED for like Echo Hullbreacher shenanigans. I don't have the fourth mana for Karn. Maybe I just ship this one. It's like the question of do I want to keep the mediocre 7 that yeah, I'm on the draw. So do I want to keep the mediocre 7 that is improved by a shit ton of hits, or do I mulligan for something that is going to be more consistently good? I think I'm going to keep it on the draw, but I would have mulliganed this on the play. Okay. That means that I can just do a number of things on turn two without necessarily giving up mana. I think I'm just gonna play Ancient Tomb and pass. Possible Island Pass is better, but I have bonus lands, so I don't super care if I get Wastelanded. And I want to be able to play this on turn two. Oh, that's interesting. And that must have been their draw for turn because they didn't play it last turn. Okay, this is much better now. An Echo in the graveyard, huh? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, what have they done to my boy Deathrite Shaman? He's become a goose. Please don't have fucking Collector Oof. Don't do it. Don't do it. We also like don't have an artifact in the graveyard for Emry either. Yeah, I'm not like gonna concede this one yet because I can just spike another island and then like play like Karns and Urzas and stuff and be okay. But this is brutal. And I have to deal with that in the post sideboard games too. Oh, and Ramunap Wasteland. How are we done? Might be done now. No. No, I'll trudge on a little bit further. I guess the next question is, do I put Hullbreacher in play, hoping to spike another dual land so that I can echo from graveyard? That might be the line. No, no, we did the Chalice on Zero line once this stream. That's good enough. If I hold this Hullbreacher back, my opponent can't attack with Collector Oof, which is great. That's not great. Alright. Let's fucking go. They have Swords to Plowshares off eating that food. I'm gonna be salty. Okay. Look at all my treasure tokens. I can activate their... Oh. Oh. I didn't even get into, like, an Urza here, which is a little unfortunate. I guess I have one size, so I should hold the bauble. I guess there's Thalia to think about as a top deck. I'll hold it. Karn's not terrible here. My life total's under a little bit of pressure. But I have, like, Ensnaring Bridge lines or maybe Skyship-based lines that are really good. Dreadful Bruise, thank you very much for following. This is a bit of a problem. I guess the Karn is a forced play. Just have to do that. Now the question is, what is the follow-up play? Probably get the Skyship so I can kill the Oof and try to finish them off next turn. Just like... I think we're probably dead on board, or very close to it. I didn't forget about the Oof. I know I'm in trouble. Maybe I have to get Bridge. Because I'm not going to be able to tap this Ancient Tomb in all likelihood. So this Questing Beast presumably gets through. I try to chump Hex Drinker here. This is 8+, so they have to hit a land. This is shut off. Yeah, maybe I have to get Ensnaring Bridge. I'll need to... do something cool. I have Lion's Eye Diamond, which isn't going to do it. I could just play 2 cards, play a land next turn. That gets it down to the point where these can't attack. But life's bad. That's 7. 7 is not 8. Oh no, the activated ability is on the Gilded Goose, not on this. Okay. Good. In my mind, I had that the food was off, and while that's true, the ability is eating it on the goose, not sacrificing it. Yeah, so I can't attack this. This would trample through anyway. Alright, I am deterministically dead. Flushing treasure, correct. So I plus on treasure. Oh, that's an interesting line. W10, those sorts of lines are fine when Collector Oop isn't in play. Alright, I want Walking Ballistas to ping their stuff. Maybe I only board in 2, though, and leave 1 in the board. Ballast not exactly at its finest in these sorts of matchups, though. Maybe I do like this, and board in 1 more LED. Do I just, like, keep this, go land opal, refresh your hand into something random, and I have an extra mana source in play? Probably. Weird. So the question is, like, which land do I play? That's what we're gonna do today, huh? Just lose? Alright. So I go Seat, Mox, LED this turn, so that I can go Ancient Tomb Urza next turn. My opponent can have access to Caracas to bounce the Urza, but that doesn't exactly look great right now. I accept your Thoughtseize. And now that I have, like, a decent-sized threat on board, if a Collector Oof comes down, it's still awful, but it's not game-ending like it was last time. We're gonna hold this and hope to hit a Breacher effect first. I think I like random cards off the top of my deck quite a bit here. I don't think I need to fire the Echo off immediately and give them more looks at land plus green sun. I'm a little bit ahead on board right now. They can play a knight, they can play a Swords of Plowshares or something like that that changes that equation. But in the short term, I think I'm okay with playing a little more conservatively. Yeah, they just had it. Eh. They also have another green sun. Okay. I can still use my artifacts for mana, so that's not actually that bad, right? Yeah. So, what am I in a situation like? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I cannot get a skyship this turn and answer that. Did I leave a ballista on the board? No, I boarded in all of the ballistas. And its activity ability is off anyway. So I might just Karn and get the skyship this turn anyway. Karn get skyship. Hold back the construct. There's questing beast to be thinking about, but I'll actually be able to block and trade with that. So I guess I need to do this. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Play Karn. Minus. We'll get that skyship, and then we'll just pass the turn. Don't need to stay aggressive here. We can kind of pivot to a defensive role. Our opponent's life total is low, but we're not necessarily looking to just try and end the game as quickly as possible. We're trying to remove the oof, and then we can go ham with Echo and Hullbreacher. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8 mana next turn. Alright. Beat the oof this time. On the draw, do I want to play some Force of Wills? Specifically for Green Sun. Maybe I do. Maybe on the draw, let's not play the Walking Ballistas, because that's just another thing that gets shut off by Collector Oof. And maybe junk 1 Bauble and play the 4 Force of Wills. Opponent spending a surprising amount of time thinking about their sideboarding when I wouldn't expect them to be changing that many things between games 2 and 3. Yeah, sort of quick. We haven't really done the thing all that many times. And maybe that's my fault. Maybe I'm not mulliganing enough. Maybe I'm keeping hands that are fine when I should be fishing for hands that are superb. Like maybe that's on me. Let's see. I can play a turn one Emry that has a Bobble and Mishra's on the line, and then followed up with a turn two Hullbreacher. Yeah. And if I hit the Echo off Emry on turn one, things get pretty silly. God damn it. Let me play with my things. So we're playing a 1-2. Alright, we milled one of our Karns here. Fine, Andy, it works the way that you want it to. You get your treasures. Uh, Brian talked about how that works on the podcast this week. Thalia has a bit of a kick in the pants. I might just be playing the Source of Plowshare, or sorry, I might just be playing the Snow-Covered Isle on this turn, so I can go Soul Land into Narset next turn and dig for something that's better than what's currently in my hand. I can put the Hullbreacher into play, but if my opponent has another land, they just go Wasteland my Soul Land, Swords of Plowshares, Hullbreacher, and I didn't really get anywhere at the end of the day. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and play the island. Pay the one for this Bobble. Alright, so I'm going to operate under the assumption that this is the same Swords to Plowshares that we looked at, but there is a possibility that they have two different Swords to Plowshares. Oh, well, this is very good. Yeah. Yeah, let's just do this. We have 2 mana currently, so I can't do anything else here. We're going to lose either the Urza or the Construct to a Swords to Plowshares, and we're also going to lose the Ancient Tomb. The Seat of the Synods are going to be good in the short term. So they don't have another land this turn. I, I, what? They really value this Hex Drinker leveling up. Uh, Whereas I really value being able to cast any of my spells ever. So we're thinking about different things right now. I guess I can take an Echo and work towards Hullbreacher Echo. I guess I have Narset Echo. I guess that's good enough for next turn. Having the Hullbreacher in play so I like go off is better. There is a world where I just take the Force of Will though. Have a safety net for Green Sun specifically. There's a Leyline in play, so I can't just combo now. I'll take the Echo. Yeah, if they Green Sun here, it is a beating. Honestly, I don't know if they'll waste. Like, they didn't waste last turn, so they value their own lands very highly. Alright, they will. So Echo costs too much to be cast this turn. Let's just try to find another Urza. Okay, we can have another Echo instead. I have a 5/5. My opponent is holding up 3 mana. I don't know what that's for. Enchant plus tax? Abrupt Decay, I guess, is more likely if they fetch value. But you could decay that. Why did you let me get another card out of it? Yeah, let me get a refresher on what Narset gets. Oh, non-creature, non-land. Okay, so Urza was a bad example of something to be digging for. So I need one more mana to go off with Echo. My opponent is going to level Hexdrinker and start attacking me for 6, so I get 3 turns to actually win the game. That probably means that my construct needs to crash in this turn. Oh shit, I have a Lotus Petal. Okay. Two, four, six, seven. Yep, okay. So I can Echo. I guess I do just Echo. Okay, so this Urza is fantastic. Yeah, I should have cracked the LED. I didn't get my finger to control fast enough. I can go Karn. And what does Karn do? Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Karn. Karn crack LED. And be able to cast some 2 mana thing from the sideboard. Can I get Lattice this turn? So Karn costs 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I can go 3, 4. I can just get Bridge and attack for 8 with my construct. Get Bridge, go empty-handed. I need 9 total mana, so let's just confirm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that works. Oh shit, it doesn't now. Now it doesn't because I attacked with it. Shit. This is fine. Also, this is why streaming is hard. I'm bouncing back and forth between like my own thoughts plus chat's thoughts plus the battlefield plus other hypothetical lines. Just get like a walking ballista ping their Thalia here. That's pretty good most of the time. I could just prevent the level up. I can also just kill the snake. Just play. Or no, that doesn't work because of Thalia. Wait, or does it? Yeah, I can cast EE for 0, pay 1, and then just kill the snake. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that. X is currently 0. X is currently 0. Done. Crack it. Now I have 1, 2, really effectively 3 different lethal threats that can just attack in. Okay. Biggest tip about playing this deck is if you're going to play it, your full attention needs to be on this deck. It is really hard to pilot this deck while also like keeping track of what's going on with chat. Uh, like this was a league in which I didn't have enough mental shortcuts at hand to just be on autopilot most of the time and just like know everything that I should be doing. And so I messed up a lot. And like I own up to those mistakes, those were my mistakes. But most of the time when I'm playing legacy decks, I've just taken the lines enough times that I can coast and play, at 90% of what I'm capable of. Today I felt like I was playing at about 70% of what I was capable of. I was missing onboard stuff and easy lines just because I couldn't completely focus on what was going on. So if you do want to try this out, like be giving it your full attention. Like I think I would have had better success this league if I was recording and just talking to myself versus if I was also bouncing around between chat. Like I would have taken the time to like reread my cards in a couple of cases, and I wouldn't have messed up like lines that I had just talked through and then like did them wrong. It was a fun league though, but definitely a high skill ceiling on this deck. And I missed a lot of things just by not playing tighter. I will say that the deck folds randomly to more things than I was expecting. Like Leyline of the Void was brutal. Thalia was bad, but not the end of the world. Collector Oof was really hard. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I think this deck is doing something powerful. Um, CPM PhD. I think that the deck is still too young. This version of the deck is still too young to be optimized. Like I don't know what the like Psy versus Narset count is supposed to be for these flex slots. Like I don't have a feel for that yet. Um and I don't know what the sideboard is supposed to look like. I haven't played enough matches with this deck to know whether or not it's okay for the Force of Wills to be in the sideboard and not have access to them for game 1. Yes, like we can look at the scoreboard and say I got there and we can use results oriented thinking, but if I think about my like heart sinking when that ley line hit play early, like I needed to draw things off the top to get out of that. Because when you keep an Emry based hand or an Echo based hand and they ley line, you're now reliant on primarily these 8 cards to win the game with an honorary nod to like Psy also being good. One other thing that I noticed about this deck is that my sideboard options are very limited. This deck has a what is effectively a 9-card tutor board because in addition to the normal stuff that's there, you also want to have access to LED for your combo and you want to have access to Walking Ballista as removal. So whereas a normal deck might dedicate somewhere on the order of 6 slots to this Wishboard, this deck has dedicated 9 slots to it. And that means I don't have all that many things that I want to be bringing in most matchups. So my opponent's deck, on average, is going to be improving more for the post-sideboard games than my deck is. If this deck gets popular and you want to fight it, Null Rod seems like it is going to absolutely be the best tool. The Collector Oof shutting off like so many of my cards and also some of my lands was definitely a beating. Okay, for those of you who ended up watching this on YouTube, if you got this far, please do that whole like, comment, subscribe sort of thing. It helps the video analytics a lot and helps more people see my videos. If you watched on the Twitch end and you enjoy my content, please consider doing something to support me. It means a lot to small content creators.